Hello, welcome back. Episode 54 of Boxing This Week with me and Paolo for Casuals. First of all, 100 subscribers, which was hit earlier today. Big thank you for that. And I imagine, to be fair, we're growing at a decent rate now. So hopefully we'll be celebrating 200, 250, 500 very soon. We still have the giveaway going as well. So get involved. Right, we'll start off with the weekly roundup. We've got quite a lot to go through. The weekly roundup, really, Devin Haney versus Brian Norman Jr. somewhat agreed upon, but it's not done on paper. It's only verbal, so it kind of means nothing. Ajit Kabayel was looking for a homecoming fight, and Wasserman Promotions are going to try and get themselves with Sky Sports. But that's kind of assuming that Sky Sports actually still want to do boxing, which they might not. So,
yeah, I've heard that as well. Sky Sports looking to pull away from boxing completely.
Exactly. So that might be a bit of a nothing. And I think Channel 5 works well with them. But
the only thing is, with all due respect, the Wasserman cards give a bit of small hall vibes.
They do, yeah.
I don't know how well that would do on Sky Sports.
I don't think it would do.
They ain't really got any stars. Nowhere near what Boxer have got. So don't really know how that's going to work. I think Lyndon Arthur signed with Wasserman, if I'm not mistaken. Unless he fought on Wasserman's shows. I'm not sure if long term he is. I couldn't tell you who else is. That is a renowned name, because the bottom line of it is the casuals are not going to sit there and watch who we might perceive as a great fighter, but his media presence is zero. It all comes down to media presence. And when you compare Boxer to Wasserman, I don't think Wasserman at this stage, which is mad because they've actually been around longer than Boxer, which is crazy. More experienced promoters, but I don't understand if you're not going to renew Boxer's contract and you bring in Wasserman. I don't get that.
No, that doesn't make any sense.
You just be watching. You just be watching on
Channel 5
shows.
But that's kind of the weekly roundup done. We're going to get into quite a few things. First of all, we're going to talk about Galal Yafai because he got completely outdone. Completely outworked, everything. Galal Yafai, Rodriguez. I think a big part is that element of you don't box someone. You don't, if someone's trying to fight you, sometimes you just have to fight. But sometimes, and I think that's what Galal tried to do, sometimes you need to take a little step back and just think, what's going on here? And Rodriguez was technically brilliant that night on Saturday. But I think that's a winnable fight for Galal Yafai. I think he just got his game plan very wrong.
Yeah.
Tried to fight a fighter. I mean, that's a terrible idea, especially a Mexican fighter. We know what Mexican fighters bring to the table, and it's a kind of immovable object against a stoppable force. Really,
you know what it is? Do you know what it is as well? Though you see with Yafai, a great fighter, but if you go off the last performance, which was what, Sonny?
No, maybe, I don't know. No. Sonny, it must be Sonny because the Sonny was for the interim. Yeah,
not really a great opponent in front of you.
Yeah, so I mean that's Sonny Edwards after Bam Rodriguez had kind of already done the job.
With all due respect, the Sonny Edwards that we saw was a shell of himself compared. I don't mean shell that in a disrespectful way, but I mean as in he wasn't the same fighter that I watched Bam Rodriguez, Sonny Edwards, that kind of fighter. Maybe he was mentally done with boxing. So although it is a great name to get on your record, former world champion, great name to get on your record, former world champion, but the fight wasn't great. So what did we expect from him in this? It was a homecoming, right? But as you said, it was a Mexican. Mexicans are tough, innit? And it's mad. I don't really know where he goes from at the moment. He's, he can still fight. Like the loss isn't going to define him, but in terms of probably where he's at in division, where let's be honest with you, coverage-wise, that division doesn't get probably the money in it as much as say the others where you go higher up as well. Just because not many if you talk to a casual, does he know who Bam Rodriguez is? Probably not.
No, not yet. I mean,
but that's my point. But if you mentioned, let's talk about in terms of this country, yeah, Sonny Edwards. The only people that are going to know Sonny Edwards are the boxing fans.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
Comparison being, you look at someone like Conor Benn, who's not really at a world level, but he's got a media profile. Big difference.
True. I mean, generally speaking, the lighter weight divisions, marketing-wise or sales-wise, they do better in Asia.
Unless you're a Nui.
A Nui and Nakatani kind of get away with it.
Nui and Nakatani.
But you've got Kenshiro Teraji as well. He sells out.
Bam done a number on him. Sorry, I was just reading the comments.
Yeah. Kenshiro Teraji sells sort of 20,000 odd tickets back in Japan. So it's kind of a case of like Galal is a weird one because I think we were all expecting a pretty clinical performance. There we go. So this is an interesting comment once I can bring it up, but we can see it on the screen anyway. So Nick Kinnaman, who's commenting, by the way, so thank you for that, Nick. As an American boxer fan, I only know Sonny Edwards because Bam fought him, and I've never heard of this Yafai dude. That's fair enough. So, I can't even... Bam's a massive name in boxing, but he's not transcended boxing just yet. Galal Yafai, Olympic gold medalist, but a bit of a weird one. I think the Yafai brothers are a massive name in Britain. Galal Yafai is a weird one because I honestly thought we'd be talking about how well he's just performed again, and we'd now be having a conversation of, is he just going to pick up the WBC world title in his 12th fight? That's where I thought we would be right now. I'm still a little bit surprised at what happened on Saturday because, well, let's not get it wrong. 6 people have beaten Rodriguez in the past. Not Bam Rodriguez. Francisco Rodriguez from Saturday night against Yafai. So Galal not being able to beat him screams of a bad game plan. I think it is just that. I don't think it's anything else. Maybe underprepared. Maybe overlooking the fight. Yeah, potentially.
Saying the same thing.
Look, it's a really weird one, but he's a very talented fighter, and we've done a reel about this the other day, and he will come back. I still believe he'll be a world champion. Do
you know what's mad about that card? Yeah, bearing in mind you're talking like a boxing fan.
Yeah,
there's so much to keep up with, but I only clocked like a month ago that card was happening.
Yeah,
I only realised a month ago that card was happening in Birmingham.
I mean, sometimes does have the effect, I guess. Like it could happen where you get the homecoming shows. Sometimes they don't promote it as much because they know it's in Birmingham. It's going to get sold out by Birmingham. MMA Boxing Addicts, cheers from Fresno, Cali. That's California. Ready for Wilder tomorrow. We're going to talk about Wilder in just a second, actually. So give us your prediction, and we'll move on to that.
I need to hear the Americans' opinions on Deontay Wilder because...
we might annoy some people here.
No, I need to hear it. I need to hear the Americans' opinions on him because, we're going to have a conversation in a minute. Go on,
yeah. Well, look, we'll move on to that now. Look, Galal Yafai is going to bounce back. There's not much to say about it. He's still very early in his career. The only worry is that he isn't young. He's early in his career, but he is 32. So these kind of setbacks are not ideal. Mm-hmm. I think he could go straight back into the rematch, and I think it's a winnable fight. I really think that. And I think if he can't win that fight, then there's a problem. But I really think he can. I think it's just a bad game plan. And then talking of the kind of comebacks, BombZquad. Here we go.
Man, don't call it a comeback. There we go. That's your favourite one.
Wilder will win by knockout and then hopefully fight AJ. I think AJ wins that by knockout, though. Agreed. I literally bang on agreed.
I've always said that Wilder, bronze bomber, WBC champion, wouldn't last six rounds with Anthony Joshua. I've always said that, by the way, and I stand to that.
I'm not even sure he gets the 6th round. I don't think he gets that far.
With all due respect, I need to understand something with Wilder. Yeah? How many people in America, pre-Tyson Fury, knew who Deontay Wilder was, outside of the general community of boxing fans? Because I see you saying, yeah, that's what I'm saying to you, Tyra. See, I need you lot to tell me, like, what was his? Because I remember watching a video, of Eddie Hearn going around New York asking people who Deontay Wilder was, and they did not think honestly, there's people that are just walking down the street going, "Nah, I don't know."
Eddie Hearn's a joker, but I know, yeah. Let's talk about the fight on Friday night. We might be live for this, by the way. So we've got some Americans here. Potentially, we will actually be live doing a watch along to this. It might be only a short fight, but not confirmed. We are doing the Jake Paul fight mainly for the Gilberto Ramirez undercard. However, Jake Paul, Julio, that has actually got an interest for me. But look, MMA boxing addicts, I love the bronze bomber. Don't get me wrong. Technically, I understand he's not the cleanest. Definitely not. Still shocks me that guy's got a bronze Olympic medal. But he's going to win by knockout. Tyrell Herndon is garbage. For context, anyone watching this afterwards who doesn't know Tyrell Anthony Herndon, he's 24-5, but four of those losses, of the 5 are knockout losses. And that includes Richard Torres Jr., who's American heavyweight prospect. That was his 6th fight or 7th fight. F.A. Ajagba's first fight. He's a American journeyman. He's the equivalent. That's what we're dealing with here. Here we go. I think the only time Wilder would have beat AJ is if he fought him right after AJ lost to Ruiz. Maybe the confidence sort of being shot. I can kind of see that.
I mean, we've got to mention the fact also that Deontay Wilder's going into this fight with Ty Herndon of 2 very bad losses, obviously to Zhilei Zhang and Jose Parker.
Yeah,
and then in between he had the win with Helenius, and then the 2 losses against Tyson Fury. Well, 2 losses against Tyson Fury. 3.
Yeah.
3. They've got 3.
So you've got the draw, and then you've got Dominic Breazeale, Luis Ortiz.
That draw was a loss. That draw was a loss, in my opinion. But
this is the interesting thing. This is why I'm okay with it being a draw, because I think that count was too long. I actually think he knocked Tyson Fury out. But that's kind of irrelevant.
But you know what, though? I'm going to go back to something about that fight. You know why the ref took, and now people will go back to the clip and watch it. But you know why the ref took so long to count? Because Deontay Wilder spent so much time dancing over Fury when he was on the floor. Yeah. So ultimately, you're talking about those seconds there where the ref's getting him back to the corner, and then he begins to count once the fighter's in the corner. Hence why the ref always says, once you knock him down, go straight to the corner. It's in your benefit as well.
Okay. So I get that.
He didn't do that, though. He started doing this.
No, I'm not saying that.
What's this?
I know you did.
That's Ric Flair. That's Ric Flair. He went like that. He kissed his glove and went like that.
By the way, possibly would have been the coldest knockout. I don't know ever. It wouldn't not ever, but it would have been up there if he because the punches were clean. Anyway, my thing with that is purely that Tyson Fury was actually out cold and has since said that he was out cold. But therefore, fighters' protection should come into it, but that's not really something that ever does in boxing at the moment. So I guess we'll ignore that.
Did you put the link in the description, Connor?
Sure, we'll do that right now.
I do it. I'm here, man. Connor is. There's 2 captains on this shit. Connor looks like the captain sometimes, and sometimes I am the captain. In the words of a famous man who took over the boat that Tom Hanks was on. Is it Tom Hanks?
Yeah. What's that movie called? Oh, shit, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But that's his first acting job. Cool fact. First ever acting job, that guy. Yeah.
And
he won an Oscar for it, I think.
I am the captain now. What's a line? That line will go down in the history books. Yeah. Along with going back to it, Deontay Wilder's boxing.
Yes. So,
Nick, big up to you, man. Thank you very much for subscribing. Appreciate that.
Very much appreciate. And you're entered into a £50 Amazon gift card giveaway once we've hit 500.
Whatever the translation is in dollars.
Yeah, right now that might just be £50. $50. It might be £50 dollars a week.
Trump carries on,
but
I don't know.
But Wilder, back to Wilder.
We might not even be here for the 500 subscribers. Who knows? Carry on.
I'm going to be at war anyway.
I'm going to be in prison because I ain't going war.
I'll be first called up, man. I got no nothing.
My bad. Nick, you're okay. You must be UK based, right?
Right.
American, right?
Anyway, right. So Wilder's last 5 fights. Okay, let's talk about these. We've got Fury 2 knocked out, Fury 3 knocked out, Robert Helenius, who won by knockout. But I want to talk about the Helenius fight because
I remember
Helenius fight. He wins in round 1, and I think everyone was like, "Oh, Wilder's back. He's great." But if you actually look at what that fight was,
Helenius was on drugs.
He got put in a corner. He got put in a corner and he got scared and jerk reaction. He just threw a punch out, and then Wilder's stupid power got in, and Helenius has a weak chin. That's actually what happened in that fight.
Helenius.
Got another. Thank you, MMA Boxing.
Helenius is a terrible fighter, No, he is. Like, it's a bad win for, like, you see, Joshua's got him on the record as well.
But at least that was a replacement fight. That was meant to be wide.
Bro, like, he's like, you can't, like, do you know when we're having a boxing debate here and we're going like, who's the best?
No, I'm not saying I'm not rating.
No. Hear what I'm saying. Like, you see, if I'm reeling off fighters that they fought, I'm not bringing Helenius' name up. I'll be real with you.
No, of course not. Not for either of them. Although, in fairness, Wilder's resume is weak. So
Wilder's resume is crazy. You know that.
We won't talk. We don't need to talk about that too much. My point is, in the last 5 fights, Wilder's only win comes from when I think, frankly, he got scared because Helenius backed him into a corner and cut the ring, and Wilder's jerk reaction of throwing a punch, and it's the first punch he threw in the fight, landed clean, and we know what happens.
Power he possesses.
Yeah, exactly. If Wilder does land clean, I don't care who it is that he's fighting, they go down. We saw Fury went down. 4 times across their 3 fights, Fury went down. The difference is Fury got up. But that's the thing. And then the last 2 fights, Joseph Parker just outdid him. And then Zheli Zhang, I mean, have we seen something more brutal?
I'll be so honest with you, though. I don't know if anyone else agrees with me, but you see Zheli Zhang that beat Wilder, even for me, like, I can't even look away from that fight and go like Zheli Zhang's great, because I also think Zheli Zhang is very average as well.
He's not average.
Like how fighters could go, I'm gonna take 9 months off to go on holiday and come back and I'll box. Yeah, Zheli Zhang can't do that because if he takes a year off, he's 49. Do you get it?
I know. I agree.
Time is not on his side, so he needs the fights now. Joshua could go to Nigeria, or he's in Ghana as well. He was at the boxing thing with Ahura Davis because Ahura Davis come back to fight in Ghana on Amir Khan's promotion, which they had a show out there, and he was out there too. But he could go there and have a break. Every minute that goes past, what's that film where they take away lives when you go and pay for a hotel? They take away minutes of your life. Like, this is Zheli Zhang. I swear to God.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
Well, Zhang's 42. 42 years old. I mean, a young fighter.
I don't think, unless he's given, he's got to keep winning, but unless he's given, he ain't going to see a title shot and keep physical or peak form to where he's at. Especially with the younger fighters coming through now. Because if you talk about, like you say, Wilder, similar age to him, fought him, put him in a ring with someone like a Talma in a couple of years, big problems.
Oh yeah, I think there's big problems now, but yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm talking. Talma's got to get his experience, right?
Yeah, of course. I mean, Moses has to earn that fight. I don't think he's quite earned it yet, but he could after Dillian White.
Bakoli and Zheli Zhang, that's a good fight. Bakoli and I want to see Bakoli and Deontay Wilder.
Wilder, do you know what? I'd actually give Wilder a good shot at that. He's hitting a punching bag. A punching bag that hits back.
Inman's comment.
If Zhang had stamina, he'd be top 3 heavyweight. Opinions.
If Zhang had stamina, he'd be top 3 heavyweights.
Top 3.
Do you know what?
We're saying what? Usyk, Dubois, Caballo?
Fury.
Well, I'm saying Fury's retired.
No, but we're talking like, okay, we're talking top 3 heavyweights now.
I'm saying like active heavyweights that currently aren't saying they're retired. I'm saying, you have to put Ajit Caballo in there, I think. Because you can't have AJ because he's lost, right?
Andy Ruiz.
Maybe Joseph Parker. Maybe you could put Joseph Parker top 3.
Zhang had. I could see the argument, but if Zhang had age on his side, he might be a top 3 heavyweight. That's what I'm going to leave that with.
Yeah. My only problem with this question, and it kind of ruins the question completely, is that if we start doing these questions, I could then say if AJ had a better recovery, he would be the best heavyweight. Or if Dubois had, I have no idea, a better like mental fortitude, he would be the best heavyweight. If Usyk had more power, I mean, he is the best heavyweight, but if Usyk had more power, then there'd be no hope for anyone. If Zhang had more stamina, then he could do. He could do because he's got stupid power. I mean, I was there when he knocked out Joe Joyce for the second time, and I haven't seen a knockout like that live. I think ever. It was pretty like.
Again, you know what it is when you look at it. These are weak matchups we're talking about though, because like I know the heavyweights and it offers what it offers. Yeah. Joe Joyce. Is not Joe Joyce against Zhang, like again, another like one-sided, weak, maybe weakish fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I get the point. It's a good but I just don't have Zhang there, man. I'm not sure. Interesting one as well though. What was the comment? Bukoli v Wilder would be a sloppy fight, 100%.
100%. Andy Ruiz versus Deontay Wilder. I always wanted that.
Do you know what though? I think that fight would. I don't know what that would look like because Ruiz is a better boxer. I'm gonna say, but he's like 5'5". Deontay Wilder's like 6 foot.
6. Wilder's 6'6". Ruiz is 6'3".
Fucking ice cream van in the background. 1 second. Shit.
I think it looks a lot like Ruiz. If we're talking Ruiz before he fought AJ, because afterwards, I don't know if it's money, food, I have no idea. But that Ruiz is just pointless. Let's be honest. If it's the Ruiz that was hungry, wow, I know that could be taken wrong. That Ruiz might always be hungry. But if it's the Ruiz before AJ was hungry for titles and money, then I think AJ, I think Ruiz actually ruined Deontay Wilder.
Let's have it right. If I saw Ruiz down the road, he would put me in hospital. 1,000,000%. No one's doubting that. However,
outrun him.
I don't think you could. You're mad. What? Ruiz can run. You're talking about these are world-class boxers, you know. I've seen.
Yeah, but what's Ruiz? We're saying Ruiz right now. Hold on, how much does Ruiz weigh? No, he's only 6'2".
Ruiz can run. Oh, he's 6'2".
I can run.
See, I'm all talking about 5'5", but Ruiz is taller than me. It's mad, isn't it? Oh, mate.
I think what an unfit Andy Ruiz. I think I could outrun an unfit Andy Ruiz.
I don't think you could.
We're talking like a 120 kilo man.
I'm going to be real with you. I don't think you're quicker than him.
I'm seeing him down the road. I reckon I could outrun that. Don't get me wrong. If he catches me, I am dead.
Casuals of Ruiz sprinting because I'm sure I've seen some that are mental, by the way. Ruiz can run anyway. Don't be fooled by the fatness.
Nah, it's just hand speech.
Don't be fooled by the fatness.
Anyway, Wilder comes back. If Wilder wins, the AJ fight kind of makes sense.
If he doesn't win, he needs to go to bed.
Yeah, if he doesn't win, okay, maybe I just think I'm faster than him. Ruiz catch. All right, everyone's saying Ruiz will catch me. Okay,
yeah, 100%.
All right, fine. Ruiz will catch me. And do you know what? It's cool. I don't even want to put this to the test. I don't want this out there.
What are you gonna do? Message Ruiz and go meet me in London and race, or meet me in Brighton and race?
I would do it. It'd be good
fun.
I
don't think. Chances of that happening
pretty low. But you don't want to manifest this kind of stuff. Anyway, look. Wilder wins. Wilder's got one massive fight left, I think.
That's if Joshua wants it.
I think Joshua would take it.
If I hear what I'm saying,
that still sells out Wembley.
No. Hear what I'm saying. I'm just let me play devil's advocate with this. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wilder wins his fight. And then we're talking probably next year now, because this is like September. You ain't going to see it by the end of the year. I don't think. Joshua's just come back from a hand injury. I don't see it happening. But say come October, say if Tyson Fury turns around and goes, Joshua, let's do it at Wembley. What fight are you, and like ASAP, what fight are you going to take? Because I'm saying if that narrative comes up, nobody wants to watch Deontay Wilder and Joshua. I'm going to be real with you.
No, if I'm Joshua, Fury is the better fight, bigger fight, and in some ways safer.
I want to see Ngannou v Wilder.
I think that would be a terrible day for boxing because Ngannou would probably beat him.
It was a terrible day for boxing when he fought Joshua and Fury. Let's make it 3 out of 3.
Let's not make it 3 out of 3. There's definitely not. I genuinely think Ngannou looked solid. He was not good against Joshua, but that's because Joshua was a clinical fighter. And Fury took the piss. He was getting ready for Usyk. So I don't think Fury was ready, but
Who's interesting before we move on? Let's leave that one for people to comment in the comments, and we'll put it for the reels.
Yeah.
Deontay Wilder beating Ngannou. Who is getting knocked out?
We've just had someone saying Ngannou by knockout. I kind of agree.
No, someone said Wilder take Ngannou by KO.
No, wild take. Like it's a crazy thing to say. But Ngannou by knockout.
Ngannou by KO. I hear it.
Yeah. Wilder versus AJ or retire is what Nick is saying. I actually agree. Right, let's more to the point. If Wilder loses this weekend,
retire.
Just has to retire. There's just nothing left, right?
Do you know? Can I say what? Yeah, go on.
I think he should retire. I don't even think he should fight again, but he has to retire. And then we fast forward. Say he's won by knockout. He looked good or whatever, which he should. I mean, this is tailor made for him. Then we're talking end of the year. AJ is a possibility, but I think he'll lose that fight. One thing to note is he has split with Malik Scott. That came out last week. Wilder last fight versus Richard Torres passed the torch for American boxing. I don't think Wilder holds the torch. What American heavyweight boxing right now is a bit of a low. I mean, Richard Torres is great, but that's not. Is that really the best that American can put up for now? Let's have a gamble.
No, American boxing's not an all-time low. Heavyweight American boxing.
That's what I'm saying. America. I'm not saying
American boxing. Let's talk about other divisions. Let me tell you something now. We're talking about we go into the welters and all of that. Like they're strong. Yeah, strong.
Yeah, I wasn't saying American boxing, and especially as British fans or British fight fan, whatever. I don't think we can talk. We've got 2 male world champions.
Yeah, it's
2.
mental.
Anyway, look, let's talk about the other fights going on I can't speak anymore in America.
It's the Bud Federa.
Do you know what? We could talk about the press conference for that. My mind is fully swayed by the way.
How staged was that?
Oh, very, but that's not.
Oh, I'll push you. You push me before they're talking about how many kids they got. Come on, man.
Jake Paul fight week.
Oh, here we go. People in the comments, please stay for this. We have to talk about it. I'm talking about the card, and then we got to talk about Jake Paul fighting another. Do you know what, Connor? Yeah, you see you. I saw your reel. Obviously, I see your reel because I'm logged into the same Instagram account as you.
Yep.
Disagree with that one. Gonna be honest with you.
I was asking a question. I didn't give my
you're smart of how you done it then. Sick. Yeah, sick. You achieved it though because you got me rattled watching it. So yeah.
I got a few people rattled. People don't like it when you bring up Jake Paul. Look, he's fighting a 39-year-old former world champion who in the last 4 years has lost to a UFC legend, Anderson Silva. But this isn't a competitive fight as far as I don't see it that way. If it was the best Julio César Chávez Jr., then sure. But that's 10 years ago.
He lost against Anderson Silva, right?
Yeah, like 2 years ago. Yeah.
2 years ago, yeah. Just for context, yeah.
Yeah.
So he lost against Anderson Silva. Yeah, Anderson Silva's 50 years old, so he was 48 when he fought Chavez.
Yep. Like, I think this is payday. Canelo would say it. Payday. That's all this is. I don't get me wrong. This is a step up. We're talking about 39. 39 isn't crazy old. We just spoke about Wilder, who's 39.
No, I disagree.
It's not crazy old.
I think this Chavez Jr. now.
Here we go, Nick. Yeah. Nick's just put it in the chat like pretty much perfectly. He was a world champion 12 years ago and 40 pounds ago. That's the key. It's a cruiserweight fight. Jake's going. Jake Paul's a pudgy guy, by the way. I don't want to be rude. Like he's far more athletic than me. So I'm not trying to be like really rude. But I just saw a reel earlier being like Jake Paul in great shape. Look, point is he's going to cut down, hit 200, like 199.5 on the nose or something, Jake Paul. And then he's going to go straight back up to 210, 220. Probably not 220, actually, 210. He's going to be massive. And Julio César Chávez, I think at maximum's been 186 and a half. At one time was a WBC middleweight champ, but lost it to Sergio Martinez. He started boxing at age 19. So soccer player before that, football player before that, whatever. Sergio Martinez was a good fighter, and he did beat some good fighters. He beat Andy Lee.
Andy Lee
had some good wins.
One of the fighters that we hold in high regard. Do you get it?
I'm not saying Andy Lee's an
no, but that's what
all-time great, but
he is. He for what he done in boxing, he go down as a great fighter. I think great.
Oh well, definitely now because of his coaching. But César Chávez Jr. has had his time in the sun, and a lot of people claim that he's a massive underachiever. A lot of that is just to do with the fact that his dad is who his dad is. Like his dad is on most people's Mount Rushmore of Mexican fighters, and some people's Mount Rushmore of just fighters. So living up to that was never going to happen. It's like where we've got now in soccer or football terms. Can't believe I'm saying soccer, but that's retention. I'm trying to get it. We've got Ronaldo and his son. His son might be a professional footballer. He ain't winning. He ain't winning as many Ballon d'Or. He's not going to be as good as Cristiano Ronaldo. And the expectation shouldn't be like that.
Do you know what the key comes down to with all of this? LeBron James,
exactly. Like that's actually a really good American example. Bronny James is not bad in the NBA.
Not bad,
He's not. If you look at him in the J League,
wait a minute. Just to clarify, I thought you were talking about senior. There, we're talking about junior.
Yeah, no, we're talking about junior.
Senior. Cool. I thought you just called senior not bad. I was going to look at you like, what?
Yeah, he's all right. No. Like, if you look at Bronny, like in the J League, like he'll take his time. He's never going to get to LeBron's level. It's the same thing here. This guy was never going to get to Julio César Chávez's level.
For me,
but he had his moment in the light. It was 10 years ago. Yeah, go on.
Do you know what the problem is? And the clear, how do I put it? The clear thing that links between all these father and sons is one fighter would have come from hunger, fought for to change their life, etc. The kids follow. Their life is changed to an extent. So now you ask, what is your motivation to box? Because if it's just to impress your dad, it's not enough.
No.
It's not enough when you're going in there now to a pool of sharks with other people who are probably where your dad was. Do you get it?
This is where we get some weird fighters as well, I think. With Eubank Jr., he's very much chasing money. Doesn't really care about titles. With Conor Benn, it feels like Conor Benn could potentially die in the ring because he feels the need to show the world. He is silver. Yeah, okay, he's fed by a silver spoon, but he has so much more. So he's a bit mental. Like he is just a bit mental. Eubank Jr. doesn't seem to care. It's a weird one. This is a very good point with Chavez Jr. He is a bit of a quitter. I don't hate this fight for Jake Paul. From a marketing point, it makes sense because it's former world champion, easy, legend name, all the rest of it. But what I do hate is what's going to happen after this fight. Jake Paul probably will win.
And what should he be given? Just out of curiosity, go on.
He should be given his paycheck and then nothing else. That's what should happen. He should get his money, and then he should just not be on the internet for a few months, and then come back and he's fighting someone else and whatever. Who cares?
I see.
What's going to happen, and I know it's going to happen because I've seen reports and there's statements that have come out. He will be ranked by the WBC and the WBA after this fight if he wins. He will be a ranked fighter.
Where? Where are they ranking him?
That will be what they decide.
So my thing is, 1 second.
I imagine.
So Chavez Jr. is currently ranked 86 in the cruiser division out of 1,568 fighters.
Yep.
Yeah. Where are you put? So what are we doing? Are we putting Jake Paul at 86?
Oh God, I don't know. I still wouldn't have him in that ranking
because I hear it. Hear me out, yeah.
Yeah.
I can if he goes in at 86, 87, he's beaten the current rank. This is box rank we're going off, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, no problem. That's fine. If I see him in any of the top 10s, I promise you I'm going to break my shit.
It won't be top 10. It'll be top 40, which is still way too high.
If I see him in the top 40s, I'm going to break my shit.
The issue that I've got with it, more than anything else, is that we know what happens after. Because the normal thing is you then fight people within. Well, what they want is you fight people within your rankings. You get up to the interim, like number one challenger, interim status, whatever, and you fight the champion. That's what they want. It never really works like that because you're ranked by multiple people. So you sort of look at all the other fights and options. But Jake Paul won't fight the prospects within his area. I mean, if you think for a second that Jake's going to get in there with anyone like Vidal Riley, like it's not going to happen. No, we appreciate you. Yeah, thank you. And this is an interesting comment because the biggest issue I've got with Jake Paul, and it's a really weird issue to have, is he brings so much money that we've actually got champions like Zerdo who want to fight him. I don't think it'll happen next because if Jake Paul's got a good team around him, which he clearly does in terms of the money-making side, they'll never allow him to get in there with Zerdo. Zerdo will kill him. But it could happen eventually. But yeah, look, Jake Paul will probably win. It's a less gimmicky fight, but still gimmicky. He shouldn't be ranked, but he will if he wins, which I think he will. However, what he is doing is putting a platform for some great fighters like Zerdo, who fights Yuniel Dorticus, who, in all honesty, I think Zerdo beats. But I've been looking into Yuniel. Massive puncher. 27 wins, 25 by knockout. Potential upset there. Zerdo gets hit a lot. I haven't watched Yuniel, so I don't know if we're talking he's quick timing. I don't know, but
we talk about reference points for Zerdo being punched a lot. I think the best example that you can use is probably a fight like Billam Smith, where he comfortably won, but took damage, gave damage out. You don't really want to be in too many of them fights, taking a lot of that damage. So the game plan should be into get in and get out quick.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a really hard fight for him.
I can't see him staying at cruiserweight, you know.
But then how he ever made light heavyweight? I mean, this guy was clearly weight cut, so he's naturally quite. Well, he's not small, but you know what I mean, small. I don't know. I genuinely think there could be an upset on the cards there. That's kind of where my head's. I do think Zerdo wins. He's a great fighter, and the only person that's ever beaten is Bivol, who's an exceptional fighter.
Elite fighter.
But Zerdo, like Billam Smith's not a massive hitter. Anyone, when you get to a cruiser heavyweight, can obviously knock you out. That's clear. But Billam Smith's record proves he's not the biggest puncher. Smith landed fairly easily. Bivol landed easily, bit different. Bivol's Bivol. I don't know. Look, Zerdo gets hit a lot. If you know, again, I haven't watched him enough. I will have watched him by when we stream because I want to. And it makes sense. But genuinely, that could be an upset. I suspect Zerdo wins and then Zerdo Opataya gets made, which is about time. We've kind of waited a bit long for that.
I think he's just, yeah, man. And then obviously you've got Serrano Taylor.
Well, that's July 11th.
Serrano Taylor after this.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that's on its own card. And the reason I'm bringing it up is because I'm glad that it's on its own card now rather than with Jake Paul.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, at least it gets its own.
Because I'll be totally honest with you, yeah, Serrano at the moment just screams to me a fighter that can't do a card without Jake Paul in it. And it shouldn't be like that. In the sense
I get that, yeah.
So I'm glad that they're on their own card. Yeah, that'd be interesting as well. But yeah, no, to go back to Jake Paul, I mean, we talk enough about Chavez, but there's an interesting point that I wanted to bring up from a commercial point of Jake Paul. So when you look at the other reason why it's going to be difficult, I think, for him to fight people in the top 40 is when you talk about someone's net worth. Yeah, Jake Paul's net worth is around about 100 million. The closest to him, to give you an idea, Anthony Joshua, who's probably arguably commercially one of the biggest boxers in the world, and Tyson Fury. Tyson Fury sits at 50 million. Anthony Joshua sits at 80 million. I think Floyd's probably the boxer that set a record for his net value. Obviously, we're talking 2025, but we're talking he's clear of about 400 million in terms of ex-boxers, right?
Right.
The problem I've got is if you go and fight the prospects and you go and fight the novices or the up-and-coming fighters or even just most cruiserweights, no one's going to really know who they are. So the problem that you've got now is for it to make sense for Jake Paul to fight, he's got to get paid. Unless he's fighting realistically, even I would say Jay Opataya or someone like that, who's recognized, Zerdo, who's recognized, really and truly, financially, it doesn't make any sense for Jake Paul to fight anybody else. We've said before that he's turned down fights. He won't fight certain fighters because he just makes excuses. But realistically, it probably comes down to money. Yeah. I do think the problem that Jake Paul's going to have is unless he accepts that he's got to take the traditional boxing route, if he wants to achieve or wants to go for a world title, he ain't going to. I don't think we're going to see him fighting these guys.
Yeah.
Because for me, if the WBC were allowed to allow him a title shot or it'd be mental. Like, I think that will be the end of the 5-4 stupid belt era. Because can I just say, in my opinion, there's too many organizations in boxing, and we spoke about this before, making stupid decisions. Again, this is another one. The fact that you're ranking a YouTuber who realistically is lost against Tommy Fury, who fights on Misfits. Yeah.
Yep.
It's for Anderson Silva. He's fought Ben Askren, a wrestler from UFC.
Ben Askren, Nate Robinson,
Friendly, who was a striker from UFC, never had a boxing bout. He's fought YouTubers, literally YouTubers, and he's fought obviously a Golden Gloves champion from like 1951. No, but it's true though. Like a Golden Glove,
yeah.
20 years old, and he's like 40 now or whatever. Right? Probably one of the more credible wins because he had boxing experience, but he didn't. When I watched him fight, he didn't really look like he's ever boxed, to be honest with you. And then obviously you've got this fight with Chavez, a former world champion, but again, a 40 pounds heavier Chavez, who, when you actually think about it, has to only be fighting for the money.
I think so. There's no... We could see experience win, but the problem is we spoke about earlier, Chavez's mentality has never been a strong point. So I don't know.
Can we get the WBC on a call one day? Can anyone make that happen?
We could try and get somebody from the WBC.
No, because I've got genuine questions to ask them because I need to know how they justify the ranking in Ngannou and how they're going to justify ranking Jake Paul. Nick made a very good point in the sense of, and again goes back to our point, it makes a lot of sense to why they're ranking him because they'll get 3% of Jake's purse if he becomes. No, they're going to get. This is a recognized fight, professional fight. So the sanctioning body, or whoever it may be, or the deals that he's done, will get a percentage of his purse anyway. Obviously, financially, it's within those fiefs' interests to put him in the rankings.
Yeah, exactly.
Financially off of that. But
once he's in the rankings, they can start taking percent. I think it's 2 or 3%. Right now, it obviously just goes to California Athletic Commission, who I assume are the ones sanctioning this. They think they must be. They always do. If it's in, it is.
Do you know what the problem is? Yeah,
I mean,
it's too easy to. It's too easy to. I'm going to say something. Yeah, by the looks of it, with all this Misfits stuff, but bearing in mind the Misfit stuff supposedly have their own professional board, but there's no overall body that sanctions what depicts being a professional athlete. Because let's be honest, as much as we can say Misfits is over there, Jake Paul really technically come from that scene and he managed to push himself into professional boxing. So if he can do it, anyone can. And there's no guidance to how that can happen or what this can happen. It's probably harder. It's probably harder to get accreditation to do media at a small hall show than it is to go and become a professional fighter. Because it's a financial thing. You pay £1,000 for your application, which, by the way, depending on what country you're in, but if you speak about the British board, can actually specifically, for example, as we said last week, they can turn that down. So you could pay £1,000 and they go, nah, or they go, yeah. And I'm sure it's probably the same with America and other places. There's just a lot. There's too much. How do I put it? There's too many ways for people to earn money in boxing to not say that boxing's not corrupt.
Oh yeah, everyone takes a percentage here and there. They've got rules set up to help, but they don't help. Boxing is. The UFC gets criticised because the fighters don't get enough money, and that's fair. They don't. Boxing should be criticised because there's too much money going to loads of places that just don't make sense. We spoke about this last week with the Chris Eubank Jr. fines and where that money's going. But look, the actual card is actually a pretty good one. I mean, obviously Zerdo is the best fight on there, but we've also got Floyd Schofield versus Tevin Farmer. Tevin Farmer, who ran Zepeda pretty tight in their first fight and then lost in the second more comfortably. And Schofield, who was meant to fight Shakur before pulling out with an injury. So not his first tough fight, but definitely his hardest. As an event, looking forward to it. I am somewhat dreading the fact that there's about 110 rounders on there. But whatever. I hope Schofield doesn't get sick again. Yeah, exactly. I don't think he will. It's Thursday, surely not. But Tevin Farmer's a hard fight. So we're going to find out what Schofield's made of because Tevin Farmer, he doesn't. Tevin Farmer's not he's not the greatest fighter by any means, but he'll come and try. There's no quit. So yeah, looking forward to it. We are live for at very least. We'll see how long we go for. We should get to the Jake Paul fight. Really,
what time is it?
Clickbaited. It'll be a 4 a.m. job. I'm definitely doing the whole thing.
I'll speak afterwards, but yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, 4 a.m. All right, look, the final thing to really speak about for this week, and it's only just come out, is Imane Khelif, the Algerian boxer who won gold in the Olympics. Controversially, but probably shouldn't have been.
Controversially in the eyes, just for media, but for journalistic purposes of what people have perceived it as.
Yeah. Now, to be honest with you, have seen about 100 reports on this, all saying different things. So first thing to note is, as far as I can say, all that's being said is she has been warned that she might have to hand her gold medal in. There is no confirmation yet that she will have to hand it in. And also, by the way, I don't think she should have to, but I've read about it. So I'm just going to read this because I don't understand this fully, but from my understanding is it doesn't make sense to me. But
this is what I said you
earlier. It is, but I've gone and summarized quite a lot of stuff. But so the IBA, who did their tests in 2022 and 23, are the ones that initially banned her from fighting because she had XY chromosomes that are usually found in men. This is the thing. When the Olympics was being run, it was run by the IOC, who were in charge, and they actually let her fight because her passport says she's female, so she passed all of the tests that the IOC have. The IBA are it's a power thing. So the IBA want to be running all major amateur boxing events. The IOC hold the Olympics. So IBA are trying to have a IBA is blasting the IOC for politics while the IOC points to its own rules. Meanwhile, the new group, the IOC-backed World Boxing, is about to bring in mandatory gender testing for all future events, so Khalif can't box again until she passes. So Khalif won't, or based on the results we've seen in the past, won't be eligible to fight under the IOC anyway in future. And the IBA are saying that she should have to hand her medal back in because she failed the test beforehand with under the IBA ruling, passed under the IOC, but IOC have changed their ruling, so now she'll fail again, blah, blah, blah. She was meant to fight in the Netherlands this month, and she pulled out without saying why, but it's widely known or thought of that she would have failed their new gender testing, which is why, so she wouldn't have been eligible to fight. Now, I have a few opinions on this. The first is that I feel quite sorry for her because once again, there's a situation where she can't come out and say exactly what's going on because there's no doubt by doing that she'll piss off somebody who's got some form of power over her.
She's in a legal dispute at the moment. Two of the people to mention are Elon Musk and J.K. Rowling. Yeah,
true. So that's what I mean. So that's why I feel quite bad for her because she can't actually stand her ground. So don't take her silence as a conviction that this isn't the case. I also understand where both IOC and IBA come from. IBA did fail her on their test, and it is about fighter protection. So the IBA, it makes sense. The only issue I've got with the IBA is the fact they're not actually involved. Mm-hmm. They were involved in 22, 23. They're not involved in the Olympics, and they're not involved in the tournament that was in Eindhoven that Khalif had to pull out of. So I think they need to back off, personally. IOC, on the other hand, had different rules at the time of the Olympics. So it's ridiculous that she should have to hand in her gold medal. She won that fairly.
Yeah.
That's no different to going 50 years back and saying to all those Olympians, by the way, all these drugs that are now banned, because you potentially took them, we're going to take all of your medals. But we're actually going to do it in quite a humiliating way and say you have to hand it back in. I don't like it. I think this stinks. What I do think, though, is that if Khalif is unable to pass these gender tests, then there is you have to protect the fighters. And as much as it's not necessarily fair on her, if she's unable to pass these tests, she shouldn't be fighting. But that doesn't mean her Olympic medal needs to be given back because she passed those tests fairly. Yeah, I think that's kind of everything.
I think the lesson that we've got to learn, just following on from what Connor said, is opinions. Opinions have been far different. I'm sure if you Google something tomorrow, it will be different to what you've read today.
Yeah.
Obviously, just to clarify, as far as the real life is concerned, she's still a gold medalist.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's a difficult subject for anyone to speak about because there's a lot of, I would say, sub-subjects that you could go into.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, I mean, you've got to be really careful nowadays when you're speaking about this sort of thing. And especially with probably from a media company's point of view. So for me, I think obviously we saw it when it first come out, the controversy around it, how much power she had in her shots. If she was a man, was she a girl, or whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously she's a girl or female or woman, but the problem is, we all had a responsibility to not jump the gun when it first come out. Do you get what I'm saying, Connor?
Yeah.
Remember the conversation we had?
Yeah.
Because at the time, I was in limbo. I didn't know. Do you get it? You was the same until we read everything.
Yeah.
But you've really got to be careful, And like you say, it's disrespectful to go hand in your medal. Not like disbanded, like you've got a hand in your medal. As if these companies don't have loads of money, first of all. Yeah, so that's the first thing. It's quite embarrassing, to be honest. Stinks. But the other thing as well is I think what's made it difficult is, if I'm not mistaken, and I don't know if I'm not mistaken, but like going off the subjects, the reason what she's being accused of is being a man by different people. Yeah, the problem you've got is she is a woman, who's being accused of basically identifying as a woman but being a male. The other issue is the Olympics have just, if I'm not mistaken, banned transgender sports.
Yeah, to a certain, you can't have transitioned and fight. It's deemed unsafe, which I agree with, in all fairness.
Again, not saying this has any bounds to Imane Khelif because it's a woman. Yeah. But my point is, because of what the controversy around her, unfortunately, has kind of happened, they are then probably subconsciously leaning on that to go about it. Now I've actually read all the facts. I have a clearer picture of it, but I do fear that this decision could potentially change over the next couple of months, probably from pressure from people. That's just my opinion.
That's the comment of the day. If I'm her, I'm telling them to suck my, and we'll leave it there. But yeah,
Nick,
I think that's, do you know what? That's the perfect ending to the episode as well. That's brilliant. Do you know what? That's staying on screen the whole time. Look, it's a tough. I hope we'll have an update by next week on it. But in all honesty, I think you're probably right. It's going to be months. They've been in court for ages about it, and amateur boxing moves a lot slower than pro because there's no real money in it. So we'll have to wait. That is Boxing This Week 54. That is probably, in all honesty, for all that it was a Jake Paul fight week, that's one of my favorite episodes we've done. Really appreciate you, Nick, and MMA. Let me get your name. MMA Boxing Addicts. There we go. Forgot his name. Never good. But appreciate you guys. New subscribers. Make sure you are subscribed because you get entered into the giveaway for a £50 Amazon gift card.
Tell a friend to tell a friend. Get them on the stream, man. Anyone that likes boxing, just bring them along. Yeah. So that gets announced at 500 subs. And make sure you like, although I know that some of you haven't, to be fair. Look, in all honesty, the channel's doing really well at the moment, so I'm kind of struggling to even ask for things because we're essentially just going on from what Connor said, because he just struggled to get some words out there. What I'm going to say is the comments and the likes to enter the competition and subscribers don't necessarily have to happen on the live stream. If you are watching this episode back and you want to comment, you can also enter like that, and you will be counted into the competition. So it's not necessarily just when we go live, but just make sure you're present on one of the episodes, which go up straight away as we go off live. That being said, good night. I'm not going to play any songs tonight because I got that one wrong last time. Enjoy your evenings, people. And we'll see you again on Saturday morning for the stream of Jake Paul. And then we're back again every Thursday, 7:30, normally 7:45, but we started earlier today, but 7:45 on YouTube. And like I said to you, thanks for tuning in.
Thank you.